Everyone thinks the Silver Bridge collapse was just structural failure. The evidence says something else was there. On December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge connecting Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Ohio fell into the icy waters below during rush hour. 46 people died. Investigations concluded metal fatigue. Case closed. But what nobody talks about, what the official record barely mentions, is what witnesses reported seeing in the weeks and months before that bridge went down. Exhibit 1: The Sightings. Starting in November 1966, residents began reporting encounters with something they couldn't classify. A creature, gray, humanoid, with wings folded against its body and eyes that glowed red in the dark. It wasn't small. Witnesses described a figure standing 7 feet tall, sometimes taller. Over 13 months, more than 100 people reported seeing this entity. Not tourists, not attention seekers, factory workers, police officers, families driving home, a fireman, a deputy, they all described the same thing. The same wingspan. Estimates ranged from 10 to 15 feet, the same unnatural gait when it walked. Exhibit 2: The Pattern. These sightings clustered around one location, an abandoned TNT plant just outside town. Built during World War II for munitions manufacturing, it had been abandoned for years. Underground tunnels, concrete bunkers. Exactly the kind of place something would hide if it wanted to avoid detection. Witnesses reported seeing the creature emerge from those tunnels, watching them, following vehicles on dark roads. One woman reported it landed on her roof. Another described it pressing its face against her window at 3 in the morning. What would you do? Would you call the police? Would anyone believe you? Exhibit 3: The Official Response. Local authorities didn't dismiss these reports. They investigated. They took statements. They documented sightings in their records, but then something shifted. Federal agencies arrived. The FBI showed interest, and suddenly the conversation changed. The tone turned dismissive. Sightings were explained as misidentified sandhill cranes or barn owls, explanations that made zero sense to people who'd actually seen the creature. The media began mocking the witnesses. The narrative flipped from investigation to ridicule. Someone wanted this story buried. Exhibit 4: The Timeline. The sightings peaked in intensity. Then on December 15th, just weeks after the federal interest began, the Silver Bridge collapsed during evening commute. 46 deaths. The creature was never seen again, not in Point Pleasant, not anywhere nearby. The official investigation blamed a single eyebar in the bridge's suspension system. Metal fatigue. A failure that, according to engineers, could have happened any time. Convenient timing. A mechanical failure that destroys the evidence and silences the witnesses right when federal scrutiny was intensifying. Exhibit 5: What came after. The sightings stopped. The entity vanished, but documents emerged later, declassified or leaked, depending on who you ask, suggesting the government was aware of something at that TNT plant. Something that didn't fit conventional categories. Something they decided to contain, not explain. The structural failure explanation holds water, technically. Engineers confirmed metal fatigue was real. The eyebar was indeed compromised. But here's what keeps researchers awake. Was that fatigue accelerated? Did something cause stress that wouldn't normally occur? The records don't say. They never will. Exhibit 6: The Witnesses. Years later, many stood by their accounts. They didn't recant. They didn't admit to hoaxes. Even when ridiculed, they maintained what they'd seen was real. That's not proof, but it's consistency. And consistency in unexplained cases matters. So here's what we know. Over 100 credible witnesses reported a creature they couldn't identify. Federal agencies took an unusual interest. The creature vanished after a catastrophic bridge collapse, and the official explanation, while structurally sound, conveniently eliminated further investigation. Was the Mothman responsible for the collapse? The evidence doesn't support that, but was something present in Point Pleasant, something the government wanted handled quietly? That's a different question entirely, and one the official record refuses to answer. The Mothman case remains one of the most documented mass sightings in American history. Hundreds of witnesses, official investigations, government involvement, and yet it's been filed away as folklore, as cryptozoology, as something not serious enough to examine. That's the real mystery, not whether the creature was real, that's debatable, but why a government would go to such lengths to reframe a public phenomenon as something unworthy of serious study. What were they protecting? What did they know? And what did they want forgotten? The bridge is gone, the creature never appeared again, the witnesses aged and passed, but the case file remains open, not officially, but in the questions nobody's allowed to ask and the answers nobody's willing to give. Subscribe. Each week we uncover the documented evidence governments hoped you'd never see.